بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد، وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني وقولي. اللهم انفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا وزدنا علما يا رب العالمين. Everyone, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I apologize for the short delay. We're just finishing up Maghrib Salah. Inshallah, we're ready to begin. This is a very important program, obviously, and I do encourage questions if you have any questions at the end, inshallah ta'ala, because it will cover basically two parts. One part is the fiqh of Ramadan. Second part is scheduling our day, so that way we have a tartib. And I want everyone to always think about that. Understand that when there's an important season, very important moment in life, you prepare beforehand, right? It's not like you just jump in there. You know, your wedding day comes up, it's like, oh, I didn't prepare anything. Like, what kind of guy is that? You know, and in reality, Ramadan is more important than anything else, because if we understood the value of it, we'd never really want to miss a single second of Ramadan. And if we really understood the value, we'd wish that Allah make the entire year Ramadan, because how precious these moments are. So keep that in mind. You have to schedule your day. So we'll talk about those things, inshallah, when the section comes up. So we'll break down first and foremost the virtues of fasting. We'll talk about who has to fast. We'll talk about suhoor. We'll talk about rulings of fasting. We'll talk about iftar, and we'll talk about tarawih and the certain rulings about tarawih, inshallah. And within there, we'll talk about vaccines and the question about vaccines in general. I wanted to clarify something about that because I found certain people are prone to misinformation. And I don't want to say conspiracy theories, but you know, it's all right. Okay, y'all. So let's first talk about the virtues of fasting. We have to remind ourselves that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you are truly doing it for the sake of Allah, and you truly love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He makes the month unbelievably easy for you. You know, you have to think about the entire world. There are billions of Muslims all over the world. Allah ta'ala, for believers, He makes it easy for them. You tell them that I don't eat from sun up to sundown, you know, from dawn to dusk. And people will think you're crazy. But Muslims do this every single year. MashaAllah, for how many years? Allah ta'ala makes it very easy for them. So the Prophet ﷺ has told us that this ummah has been given 5 things for Ramadan, which was not given to anyone except them. The first thing is that the smell from the mouth of the fasting person, although it feels like it's such a weird feeling for us and feels kind of, even our mouths feel a little dirty, it's sweeter to Allah Ta'ala than the most fragrant musk. Allah Ta'ala, He loves it. So even the most difficult feeling for us in fasting, it is something beloved to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. If this is just a feeling of the mouth, imagine what's the feeling of the reward for everything else then, from whatever else we do in the month. On their behalf, the Prophet said the second thing is that the fish in the sea seek forgiveness for the fasting persons until they break their fast. Many times people have a question and they say that I'm such a sinner. How could it be that I'll be forgiven? Don't worry. You don't even seek forgiveness. What's going to happen is the fish, the ants, everything in the world will start seeking your forgiveness, and then you'll be forgiven because of that. That's how blessed Ramadan is. Again, we don't appreciate these moments. If you enter Ramadan, you are a blessed individual. We should be nice and kind to anyone who is a Muslim at this time, because Allah accepted them to be in the month of Ramadan. The third thing is what? Allah prepares and decorates the Jannah every day and says to it, "O Jannah, the time is near when faithful servants shall cast aside the great trials of the world and they will come to you." So Jannah is excited. Jannah is it's anxious and it's waiting for us to come to it. And so Allah Ta'ala comforts Jannah and says, "Don't worry, the time is coming. The slaves are coming." Imagine that your retirement home is actually begging for you to come. It's like, I want to host them. I want to entertain them. I want to give them the best experience ever. That's what Ramadan is Allah Ta'ala tells Jannah every single day of Ramadan for that. In this month, the Prophet ﷺ said the worst shayateen are chained so that they do not reach those evils which they normally reach during the other months besides Ramadan. You know, we were all locked down last Ramadan, so it might have all been shayateen. I don't know. Allah knows. You know, just joking. The shayateen, the worst shayateen are chained in the month of Ramadan, so they don't reach those evils. And I feel this feeling in my heart every single time Maghrib comes in the month of Sha'ban. I think like, Ya Allah, let us reach Ramadan already. I'm tired of the shaitan. He's driving me nuts. I can't wake up for Fajr like I normally do. I can't do this anymore like I normally do. I'm tired of this, man. You know, lock him up already. Allah Ta'ala will, inshallah ta'ala, when the month comes in. And the final thing is that Allah Ta'ala promises, hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, that on the last night of Ramadan, they're all forgiven. They're all forgiven. And the Sahaba radiallahu anhu say, Ya Rasulullah, is the last night Laylatul Qadr? Is the last night Laylatul Qadr? Is that why they're all forgiven? The Prophet said, no. Laylatul Qadr is a bonus. If you did your work, you get your pay. If you did your work, you get your pay. Since every Muslim fasted the month of Ramadan, Allah promises them that they'll be forgiven. This is why Sahaba radiallahu anhum always, they thought each other to be superior to one another. when they saw that this person had 7 Ramadans and this person had 6 Ramadans. They would say this person's better because of the fact that he had 7 Ramadans. The more Ramadans you have, the more blessed you are. One shaheed and one normal Muslim. So it was shown in a dream about these two people. And just to give you an idea, so the martyr, he died. Imam Suyuti rahimahullah, he narrates the story in his book Sharh al-Sudur. He says about the story that a shaheed passed away and a person who passed 1 year later. Okay, so they're both seen in the dream. The shaheed, he got some level of Jannah, some extraordinary level of Jannah. Then he saw that one Muslim though that passed away 1 year later, he saw that person got even higher level than him, and he was surprised and shocked. He said, "How could that be? The martyrs are so great. The martyrs are so honorable." And then the angels explained to that person, or in the dream is explained. It said that didn't this person have another 6,000 prayers in the year, and then this person receive another Ramadan? We don't value it. We don't realize how great that is. May Allah give us that understanding, of course, not to, of course, diminish that status, but understand how great is Ramadan. Okay, there's so many blessings to Ramadan. I wish we had more time to talk about these things. And I just want to remind everyone that by fasting, if you feel like your heart has a lot of waswasa, you can't seem to stop these bad thoughts and ideas. By fasting, the Prophet ﷺ said, by fasting during the month of Ramadan and 3 days after, meaning in every single month, then the rancor, the whispers, and deceit of the heart is removed. If you can, mashallah, maintain a regular habit of fasting, you'll find that all these different feelings and waswasas will all disappear. So we should have a routine, inshallah. And I always encourage, prior to Ramadan and after Ramadan, your body's already activated, mashallah. You're already ready to go. Just fast the extra 6 days of Shawwal, and then every every month, just fast 3 days. You'll find such an experience, inshallah ta'ala. Okay, and so let's get down to now who must fast. Okay, let's start to break down the fiqh now. May Allah accept us, allow us to obtain Ramadan, and let us be excited for this day, inshallah ta'ala. So who must fast? Okay, so first and foremost, the scholars of fiqh have always divided it up into these couple of categories. They tell you first you have to be Muslim. Don't tell your non-Muslim workers or employees or colleagues like, hey brother, you gotta fast. It's only for Muslims. That's number one. Number two is baligh, right? Meaning that the child has reached the age of puberty. But of course, younger kids should always be encouraged to fast. They should start fasting from age 7 or age 8, make them used to it and comfort them, inshallah, give them like a half of a fast in a day, things like that. That way kids get used to it. Or else kids, imagine you're like 13, your mom just says, all right, no more food for the day. Like, what are you going to do? You kill the kid, You're like, what is this? So, and that's why I always encourage parents to wake up during suhoor as well. It gives the kids a different routine, and we'll talk about that when we get there. The third thing is about sound health. People should have a sound health. So what does that mean? It means that first and foremost, those people who doctors have told them not to fast, Muslim doctors have told them not to fast, they shouldn't fast, right? So diabetic patients are usually the normal case that comes up here. When people have diabetes or they're so sickly or so elderly, and they're told to avoid fasting, obviously they can skip the fast. They'll give a fidya. Fidya is when they give a certain amount per day of Ramadan that they miss. They'll give that amount, okay? And it's about $10 per day. The idea is you're supposed to give it to, you're supposed to feed a poor person 2 meals a day, right? So what's 2 meals a day? 2 Subway sandwiches. How much is a foot long? $5. Okay. Okay, so those who have been advised by Muslim doctors to avoid fasting. Second thing is sisters who are in their monthly cycles, or sisters who have just given birth. They can also, they are not allowed to fast, of course, and they'll make up those days which are missed. Okay, it's a blessing of the Sharia that the sisters will just have to make up those days of fast. They never have to make up their prayers, right? They never have to make up their prayers. It's a big ni'mah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The third thing is, of course, women who are pregnant or expecting, and women who are breastfeeding their children are also have an exception. They have a rukhsa. They can postpone the fast till later on. That's also fine as well, because of the fact that the body is just not healthy at the time. And a person who's a resident versus being a traveler. If you're a muqim, you're in the area, then you have to fast. If you're a musafir, then you have a bit of an excuse and you can break the fast. Having said that, if you know your suffer is not so bad, you're not suffering there, your suffer, you don't have a really difficult travel, then might as well just make the fast. Why would you wait, Because what's the problem here? What's the issue here? You have to make up that day. You definitely have to make up the day, right? What happens though? People get very lazy. You say, I'll make it up. When are you going to make it up? Then you die, and then what happens? When the fast is still remaining. So if you can, just make it. We know that it's not so difficult. Allah make it easy, of course. And you can ask, there are other questions, of course, with musafir stuff. We'll talk about it later. So we talked about elderly and chronic illness, who they know they're not going to recover. If you know you're not going to recover, then you're supposed to give fidya per day. Fidya again is at $10. So if a person were to cover the entire month of Ramadan, it's about $290. or $300 depending, right, on the number of days. And they give that in sadaqah, and they'll compensate, that'll be enough. Certain elderly brothers and sisters, they feel disheartened or saddened that they can't fast the month of Ramadan. Because imagine your entire life you do Ramadan, and now you're in a state where you can't do it. That depression and sadness comes on. I want everyone to understand that that's fine, don't worry about it. Allah Ta'ala will take care of it. If you give the fidya, as if you fasted that day. You'll get the same ajr, inshallah ta'ala. There's nothing to worry about. So our day will begin from suhoor. Generally, we'll talk from suhoor this time. Usually we do from tarawih, but we'll do from suhoor and go down to tarawih, inshallah. Waking up for suhoor is when you wake up before fajr time and have some food. Suhoor is also called sahri, as we all know. Suhoor, the Prophet ﷺ said, "Inna fi suhoori barakah," that in suhoor there's tremendous blessings. That's why the Prophet ﷺ said, "Do not omit the suhoor." What happens to us though? Remember that it's the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. It's sunnah to have dates. So sometimes during our suhoor, we actually forget to have dates. I remind everyone that having it on the dastakhan or on your table is a sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Something also good for the body as well. And it's recommended to have suhoor right before fajr time. What do we normally do? Or what do people have a habit of doing? We wake up, we do it at 11 p.m. and say, I'll just sleep the entire, and then I'll wake up at fajr, and then, yeah. So here's the thing, and I want everyone to understand, look, you only have so many Ramadans in your life. And if we understood that there were people last year that wish they could have had this Ramadan this year, and they're not here with us anymore, I think we really understand that maybe I won't be here next year, and maybe I won't be here after Ramadan. Allah knows. Maybe we should just try our best to make this the best Ramadan that we can. Because if this is the last one, we have to make sure it's the best, That's why we say live every day like it's your last day, because then you'll make it your best day. May Allah make us people to understand that. So now what should you do? And this is the thing about children. When they see you wake up at like 3:30 a.m., they get an idea that this is a Muslim family. This is a tradition. This is what Islam is about. So our culture is about. When you raise kids like this, they want to fast. They're like, I want to do what mom and dad are doing. But when we don't do it, we just sleep at 11 p.m. The kids never see us do anything, so they don't feel encouraged to do it themselves. So I encourage everyone, inshallah, wake up 30 to 40 minutes before, okay? And obviously their sisters will be, or brothers, or whoever is engaged in getting the food ready. There is some time to do tahajjud, okay? And this is the thing. Umar radiallahu anhu, when he set up tarawih, he put everyone to pray tarawih. He told the Muslims, he said, this is good. Tarawih is good. But that which they're going to sleep past, that prayer which they're going to sleep past, is better than the one that they're standing for right now. In other words, you're saying that the tarawih that they're standing for, the fact that they're going to oversleep and miss tahajjud, he says, I wish they could have made tahajjud better. That would have been better for them. So what happens is we wake up during tahajjud time. Suhoor is exactly tahajjud time. That's why Ramadan, if you did it properly, you'll be waking up tahajjud every single day of the year, because now you're so used to it. You understand what I'm saying? So what I'm saying here is, when you're waking up for suhoor, just pray 10 minutes of tahajjud. It's not going to kill you. You're waiting for something anyways. Might as well, inshallah ta'ala. Or you can finish a couple of minutes earlier. Pray 2 rakats, mashallah, it's tahajjud time. Allah ta'ala descends in this time. You can make dua to Him. Allah ta'ala will answer your du'as, mashallah. Okay? So make this habit, inshallah ta'ala. And whatever you need to eat, obviously do what you do, jo bhi ho, whatever you guys eat, mashallah. Whatever makes the day go by, okay? Some people have pakoras in iftar, some people have pakoras in sahri, whatever. Do what you need to do, okay? I'll tell you, of course, to avoid oily foods, consume less, more fruits and veggies. And dates have a tremendous barakah in them, because when you eat dates with water, the one doctor explained to me very beautifully. He says that the dates, because of the what's inside the date, it actually traps the water, and so a person actually feels less thirsty because they eat dates in the morning. So if you have an issue with thirst, maybe it's because we're not eating dates. If you eat dates with water, you'll find that barakah within the entire day. Okay, I found it myself as an experience. We do tafsir every single day, right? Talking, it's kind of hard, So I found that to be very beneficial. And you may brush your teeth, of course, at this time. I know what people normally do is like last minute, right? Like she's like, is it 3:55 yet? You're like looking at the time and rushing. Okay, so don't worry. I always like 1 minute before, please, like at least save your fast. I don't know why people we're not looking at the horizon. Okay, you're looking at a calendar, for God's sakes. What happens is, because we're looking at the calendar, we're thinking it has to be exactly this time. You didn't see it. It might have already come in, That's what I'm saying. Be very careful when you do these things. I wouldn't never ever do it to the last moment. Some people use as dalil. They say the Prophet ﷺ, though, he ate to the last minute. I'm like, yeah, that's true. But who's the one who called when sahri was done? The muazzin. You knew that sahri was over because the muazzin calls it. So I said, that's not a dalil. I said, the Prophet ﷺ, because the adhan goes, it's over. You and I are looking at a calendar. It's like, oh, can you tell me if sahri is over or not? So don't get deceived by the paper in front of you. Always stop a little earlier, because you don't want to risk your fast. What happens if you go to the last minute and the time came in? What's going to happen? You're going to have to make it up. The day is over. right at the first minute. Okay, that's why we tell everyone to stop at the 18-degree time. Okay, so if you already know this calendar stuff, this whole entire headache, you open up your, I don't know if most people use Muslim Pro anymore. I don't know, after the entire controversy. But if people, whatever apps you have like 15,000, like I think like 7 or 8 different like calculations, right? Yeah. So here's the thing. So majority of the world, this is a Western problem. What is the problem? That people are deciding which calendar, which degree to use, right? The entire world uses either from 18 to 20 degrees. Okay. The only countries that have a problem is because they're special snowflakes or people from the Trumpian era, So we have this issue here. What I'm saying is that there are people that do 15-degree or 18-degree. We went out ourselves. We went to go observe the actual sun time when Fajr comes in. Went to where? Lock Lobby. Yeah, Rock Lobby. Jazakallah. Lob Lali, Rockport, right? Jazakallah. Yeah, that was a beautiful place. There's like zero light pollution there. I encourage everyone just one time take a trip there. The one part was beautiful about the Fajr time. More beautiful was the fact you could see all the stars. And wallahi, I only saw it when I was in Bangladesh, right? Because of the fact there was no pollution there as well. But the fact is that you could see it there. It was so beautiful, So having said that, I was confirmed when I was there. We went with Mullah Sainwal and everything. I was confirmed there that the time definitely came in for 15 degrees, 100% in my mind. I can remember very vividly. And I saw, you're still looking for that light, right? And so because we're inexperienced, but the most interesting thing is what I wrote down the time, 3:22. Still remember this. I wrote down 3:22. I said the birds started chirping. I checked back when, you don't want to be going with a bias, right? So I checked back and I saw when 18-degree comes in, and I saw that the same time that the birds started chirping, the same time the 18-degree was, subhanAllah. So the fact that the birds know when it's morning time, So I encourage everyone, if you're telling yourself what time is Fajr versus not Fajr, 18-degree time it's the standard that Muslims have always used for 1400 years, okay? It's a standard. So try your best to do it. I know it's a little bit longer. I think how many minutes now? 15 minutes, right? It's not going to kill you. Just to be safe that your fasting is accepted, okay? Okay, so keep that in mind, inshallah. It's the safest opinion according to all. We ask Allah for understanding, of course, okay? So in terms of your day of fasting, please, inshallah ta'ala, understand that this year, alhamdulillah, we have Taraweeh in the masjid. So along with your schedule, inshallah ta'ala, try to do that. I'll talk about certain things about Taraweeh when we get there. When you schedule your day, schedule how much sleep you need. How many hours of sleep do we normally need? Some people need 6, some people need 8, some people need 10, some people need 12. Some kid is playing Call of Duty all night. He can't wake up for his duty to pray Fajr, the real Call of Duty, right? So that's fine. Like I look, whatever makes your body function, that's up to you, but make sure you schedule it. Tell yourself, this is how many hours I need. If you can schedule your sleep, you can schedule your day. If you don't schedule your sleep, you're never going to be able to schedule your day because you'll feel tired and exhausted. If you need that hours, then sleep. Most of the time for me personally, people stay up all night in Ramadan. I can't stay up all night. I sleep for 1 or 2 hours because I know I need the nighttime sleep. The barakah nighttime sleep, 1 hour at nighttime is worth 3 hours in the daytime. So if you sleep at night, you'll feel very relaxed and comfort, But if you stay up all night, you feel so exhausted during Fajr time. You can't wait till the prayer is over, So keep that in mind. Do what works for you and make sure you stick to it. Schedule your sleep, schedule your work, schedule your dhikr. Dhikr is important. Put a time in the day where I'll do my dhikr. La ilaha illallah and astaghfirullah is what the Prophet encouraged us to do. Okay. Read some Quran. Schedule your Quran throughout the day. Schedule your salah, of course. And there should be some time where you sit with the family. I don't think we schedule this, and we should schedule this. Everyone should sit together and have some reflection, especially with the younger kids. How did the fast go? How did you feel today, beta? After Ramadan, Maghrib time is a perfect time to do this. Sit down, read some tafsir together, read some stories. There's so many things that we can do as a family, and then you can have some dua time as well. Make dua as a family. You as a husband, as a father, as a leader of the household, you have a big amanat. You raise your hands, mashallah, you make dua for your kids. This is what the Prophet used to do. So remember, you can do that, inshallah ta'ala. After Maghrib time is perfect time, inshallah. Okay? So there are different cycles. I'll share this with everyone, so that way you can understand. I always make out like these work plans, okay? And if you can maximize your hours and things like that. One of the best times is that people are going to go to work, right? Are we still working from home? Okay. If you're not working from home, if you're driving, you can either recite, mashallah, hafizes of the Quran, they can recite while driving. That helps them a lot. Some people just play the Quran while they're driving. So mashallah, you can make a whole khatam of the Quran by listening from the time it takes you to get to work and when you getting back home. And sometimes if you're really, really brave, repeat after what he's saying. Slow it down, read someone who's slower, and just repeat it. So while he's reciting the Quran, you're also reciting. And mashallah, you get the barakah of listening to the Quran and get the khatam, and you get the barakah of reading the Quran and get a khatam too. That's called optimizing, right? That's optimization. So, you can do a lot of things. Just tell yourself, This is extra time. What can I do with it? You know, I can read La ilaha illallah the entire time while I'm going. If I got to go to school, I might as well make zikr on the bus. You know, why not? Read my Quran there. You know, I was the weird kid I had a bunch of friends that were memorizing Quran in high school. They would just be reading Quran during lunchtime. Obviously, people are going to laugh at them in the beginning. After a while, who cares, right? You're doing it for Allah anyways. Okay. And so there are many things you can do. And again, mashallah, the more you can schedule, the more you have an idea what you're doing, the more you're going to get out of your day. Okay. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Okay. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. That's always the rule. So myself, I have a routine. That's why I hate traveling. People think that I like going to New York or something. I absolutely do not. Okay. Because why? Because I go for 4 hours. I come back. I'm exhausted and tired. You think I'm just going there sitting with family? I wish I could sit with mom and dad. You know, you're going all over the place. And then you come back, it takes you another 2 days to reset. You know, that's why I tell people, like, just have a regular routine. Even if it's basketball every day, mashallah, keep it up. Do it every day. You know, like, maintain. If you maintain, then you'll see that you have a routine going. If you don't have a routine, it's not going to work. Okay. Another time that people waste in Ramadan is sleeping. They don't realize that there's a lot of reward in sleeping. What? There's a lot of reward in sleeping. The Prophet ﷺ, he taught us how to sleep. Every moment of life is an ibadah. Okay. If you do it like the Prophet ﷺ, you'll get reward. So what am I talking about? On the day of judgment, some people will resurrect. Some people will raise in front of Allah. And they'll see in their book of deeds that they have 7, 8, 9 hours of extra dhikr and tilawah and all these things. So, Ya Allah, where did this come from? Said, oh, you slept with wudu. So you wrote down all your sleep as dhikr of mine. And you think I'm joking, okay? The Prophet ﷺ first taught us that when you sleep on your right side, you face towards the qibla, okay? The Prophet ﷺ taught us the dua. What is the dua? Allahumma iska. I thought you guys could say Bismillah wa barakatillah. Because everyone's like this. Yeah, there's also another one which is short. Allahumma qini adabak. Allahumma qini adabak yawma tab'athu ibadak. Very short. Allahumma qini adabak yawma tab'athu ibadak. The Prophet used to recite this 3 times. The dua is very beautiful. Allah, save me from your punishment the day when you raise your slaves. Because if you die in your sleep, Allahu Akbar, you made this dua, Allah will say, I'll protect you on this day. MashaAllah. So it's very short. Again, mashallah, I can send all these to everyone who needs it, so you can look at this, inshallah. So sleeping in wudu. There are 5 benefits for sleeping in wudu. The first one, the Prophet ﷺ said, if you make wudu, the Prophet ﷺ said, make wudu on these bodies, and Allah will purify you, and He'll forgive you for your sins. For any slave who goes to sleep in a state of wudu has an angel that spends the night with him. And every time he tosses and turns while sleeping, the angel says, oh Allah, forgive your slave. He went to sleep in a state of wudu. The angel's making dua for you while you toss and turn. When you can't get over the fact that your wife was yelling at you at nighttime, and you're just like, oh, I can't do this anymore. The fact is the angel's like, Allah, please forgive him. MashaAllah, he's such a good man. Same thing for the wife. Same thing as well. But the point is that, number one, the angels will make dua for you. Okay. The second benefit is what? That when a person sleeps, Abu Darda radiallahu anhu said, that when a person sleeps, his soul rises to the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If he slept with wudu, the soul is permitted to make sajda in front of Allah's arsh, subhanAllah. If he slept in the state of impurity though, if he slept in the state of not being in wudu, the permission for sajda is refused. I tell this to people who don't find barakah in their sleep. I said the fact is, the reality is this: a Muslim soul goes up every single night to go make sajda in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's arsh. And the fact is, when we don't make wudu, what happens is the soul comes back and it feels rejected. And so the sleep has no barakah in it then. But if you make wudu before it, the soul goes up, makes sajda in front of Allah ta'ala's arsh, comes back comforted and relaxed, and then you actually get barakah in your sleep. So I encourage everyone, inshallah. It's a very quick thing you do. Just make wudu and just go to sleep, right? It's not hard at all. And the third thing is what? The reward of engaging in salah and dhikr the entire night. It's mentioned, whoever retires to bed in a state of wudu and falls out to sleep while engaging in the dhikr of Allah ta'ala, his bed will be considered as a masjid. He will receive the reward of being in salah and dhikr until he awakens. You will have hours upon hours of salah and dhikr as well, inshallah ta'ala. Okay? That's benefit number 3. Benefit number 4 is, the ulama state that a person who, Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu said, ensure that you spend the nights in wudu, for the souls will be raised in the condition of wudu that they were taken in. So in other words, you raise on the day of judgment with wudu as well, a person who's ready to pray in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the last benefit is protection from nightmares. I can't stress this enough. People have weird nightmares. I remember this one, I get too many ta'birs now. Too many people ask me about dreams. So this one lady, she sent a dream. She said, I was really scared. I saw a lot of snakes and they were all coming in my house and I was so scared they're going to eat my cat and all these things. I'm like, okay, so can you give me some context here, sister? Like, I can't just like, I'll tell you a million things what snakes mean, you know? You want to ask what snakes mean, there are a lot of interpretations for snakes, right? Some of them are good, some of them are bad, okay? So then this lady tells me this. I said, could you give me some more details? And she goes and explains it that I have a very big fear of snakes. And oh yeah, I just remember my older brother showed me a very scary video about snakes before I went to sleep. So I said, it's probably that. No, there's no interpretation. Shaitan is messing with people. Shaitan gives you nightmares. How do you protect yourself from nightmares? Ibn Hajar rahimahullah said, one who sleeps with wudu will see better dreams. Sheikh Muhammad Zakaria rahimahullah ta'ala said, one who sleeps with wudu is safe from bad dreams. If you have a problem with nightmares, sleep in wudu inshallah ta'ala. Okay? So that's how we sleep. And of course, there's a connection about, there's a part about finishing the Quran. And I stress this point that obviously throughout the day, schedule your Quran. You can finish one khatam in the day, in the month, I'm sorry. You can finish one khatam in the month, inshallah. You can do more than one. You just have to sit down with the Quran. I told people the other day that I said that if you want to get the reward of the people who make dua in Mecca and Medina, or people who are making dua in this place and that place, or people are making dua in i'tikaf, people making dua all over the place. The Prophet ﷺ said, Allah Ta'ala says, whoever is so busy with reading the Quran that he doesn't have time to make my dua and he doesn't have time to make my dhikr, I'll give him more than what the people who make dua ask for. So if a person just spends time in the Quran, you can literally get everything else that people are asking for in the world. That's what we say, as much time as you can. Obviously, pace yourself, see how much you can do. If you can do 1 or 2 juz, then do 1 or 2 juz. If you can do 5, 6, then do 5, 6. Do what you can, inshallah ta'ala. Allah ta'ala make it easy. You can finish one khatam, inshallah. Okay? How can you do it? Just to give an idea of how you can do it. Is that you can read 4 pages you can read 4 pages per salah. Okay? So this is from the 15 line of Quran. You can just divide up the pages if you're using a 13 line, the lines in the page. So if it's 7 pages, then read 7 pages. If it's 4 pages, then read 4 pages per prayer. If you're doing that, you're going to finish. So in the 15 line of Quran, 20 pages is the juz. If you read 4 pages per salah, it's going to be one entire juz. One para is done. You do this for 30 days. MashaAllah, you finish the Quran. It's really easy. You want to finish 2 khatams, then just read 4 pages before, 4 pages after. It'll be done. If you just schedule these things become very easy. If you don't schedule and you just do whenever you get a chance, you'll never even be able to finish one. Allah will make it easy for all of us, inshallah. Okay. And so there is a opportunity here, especially for those people that, mashallah, last year, we were all the hafiz of our house, mashallah. You were all leading salah, tarawih at home, mashallah. And I do encourage this. If you feel like you had such a blessing of leading your family at home, okay, and don't think this is controversial here. I'll explain it in a second. But if you feel that, if I led my family at home, I felt a lot deeper connection with the Quran. I felt a lot more connected with tarawih and everything, I can imagine standing behind Mullah Osman is not the easiest thing in the world. Okay, if it's a little difficult for me, I can imagine for you guys, and I know what he's reading. Okay, Allah make it easy for you all. Okay, mashallah. And Allah bless our Hazrat, mashallah. Ameen. Okay, so, but if you felt like at home, last year you were like, mashallah, I memorized a couple of surahs, I led my family with those surahs, and you felt really happy about that. Or you memorized 1 or 2 pages and you read that in salah. I encourage you, inshallah, do it at home then. Lead your family. Why not? There was once a time where, people are struggling to find 1 or 2 hufaz for tarawih. There was once a time in the ummah that there were too many hufaz. They were just leading at home. This is the thing about tarawih, is that the jamaat should be so massive. We should have so many hufaz, they have nowhere else to lead. They just lead their families. Where the sisters get this barakah too, right? Many sisters, they just pray the 20 rakats by themselves. What are they doing? Kawthar and ikhlas, Kawthar, ikhlas, Kawthar, ikhlas. That's all they're doing. Imagine now, mashallah, her husband is leading her in prayer. Imagine how happy she feels. Right? There's a lot of connection there. Okay, try to work in your tilawah. Get a sudais or shurim going. Don't make it boring for them. But try, inshallah, memorize portions of the Quran, recite them in nighttime and tarawih. Okay, remember this. The hadith of the Prophet ﷺ says that he told Abu Dharr radiyallahu anhu, whoever memorizes 1 ayah of the Quran is better than 100 rakats of prayer. That 100 rakats of prayer is 5 tarawihs. You got that by sitting down and just reading فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. Right? So Allah will make it easy for us. If you feel that's what you want to do, then go ahead and do it, inshallah. Okay? Allah will make it easy, of course, inshallah. Okay. So that's about reading Quran. Now let's go down to the rules of fasting in terms of what can break it, because that's the main thing here, right? So obviously a person again has to stop before the Fajr time comes in. We spoke about that from before. Okay, how does fasting break? It breaks in 2 different ways. Number 1 is that a substance will enter from the outside and enters the body. Okay, substance is from the outside and enters the body. Okay, and so it has to reach the digestive tract. Okay, it has to reach your digestive system. It goes in the throat, the stomach, or the intestines. Okay, if it goes in the throat, the stomach, or the intestines. That's number 1. Number 2 is obviously intimate relations between husband and wife. Those types of things will also break fast, of course. I'm not going to really speak on that. If you have a comment or you want to have a question about it, I'm more than happy to address it, inshallah. But for our purposes, we're going to talk about the food one, because that's actually the one that people generally fall into, unless you're just a recently married guy. You know, first month of mine was in Ramadan. That was a challenge, brothers. Okay, so what you don't have to worry about. You don't have to worry about the eyes. You don't have to worry about the ears. Okay, Mufti Rafi Osmani Sahib Dawan Barakatum has written a beautiful book about fasting. It's called Dawabitul Mufattirat, the principles of the nullifiers of fast. It's a beautiful book, mashallah. In there, he talks about how they talked to ENT specialists, and they basically told them that there is no connection between the ears and the digestive tract. So if anything falls in the ears, you're fine. If anything goes in the eyes, you're fine. So alhamdulillah, for those brothers who have allergies, you know that struggle, and the eyes get itchy and everything, you can put a drop in the eye, it'll be completely fine. What do you have to worry about? There are 3 areas you have to worry about: the nose, the mouth, and the backside, but we're not going to talk about that. Okay. If you have a problem with that, please consult your local Maulana, okay, inshallah. But the first 2 are the critical ones, right? The nose and the mouth. Okay, nose and the mouth. It's a long pro one, so I'm making you all laugh, okay? Because I need you all to focus, right? So what will break it? So let me talk about one of the more critical issues first, because we will always have a question about toothpaste and mouthwash, okay? So about toothpaste and mouthwash, the reason why, someone said that, oh, the reason why we want to avoid using toothpaste or brush our teeth during fasting is because of the fact that it removes the fragrance of the mouth, you know, the smell of the mouth. I said, that's not the reason why we tell you that. First of all, you're entering a flavor into your mouth. You're tasting something without a need. That's makruh already. You've already added makruh to your fast. Second thing is the bigger one, which is the fact that this tongue is designed, by its design, it pulls things down. The tongue pulls things down. People mistakenly will break their fast. And they might not even realize it, that the fast is broken. So that's something you have to think about. Imagine that you're just brushing and brushing and brushing, and your tongue is just taking things down. What is the function of the mouth? It pulls things down your throat. So be very careful. Those are the big reasons. It's not because of anything of the other stuff, obviously. Okay. The second thing people need to worry about or think about is the drops of water entering the throat. Okay. So if drops of water enter the throat, like for example, a person is making wudu, okay, and then by mistake, when they're gargling, water goes down the throat, what will happen? The fast will break. It's a mistake, so it's only going to cost, you only have to make up one. You don't have to do the 60 kafara or anything like that. You just have to make up that one. What don't you have to worry about is that I see this sometimes brothers, they get really nervous. So after wudu, they start spitting, like, they like clear out their mouth. Listen, brother or sister that has this problem, you'll never be able to clear your mouth. It's impossible. Okay, it's impossible. The scholars have written you don't have to worry about the water which is remaining in the mouth. Just leave it alone. If someone tells you, or your waswasa tells you, your shaitan tells you, no, you have to keep doing it. Okay, look, shaitan's locked up. Okay, that's only you right now. Okay, leave it alone. Sheikh has told you it's fine. If the water is left over, just let it go. Okay, that's the second big thing. Third thing is about nasal sprays and inhalers. Nasal sprays, inhalers, they both will break the fast. So be very careful about using it during. Okay, and saliva exchange, if a husband and a wife were to be intimate, that also will break the fast as well. But you have to be very careful about that and concerned about that, of course. Okay. And now any food the size of a sesame seed or chickpea or larger, okay? If any food enters the mouth, right, from the outside, it will break the fast. Okay, so you have to be very careful, right? So you should always consult scholars about these things because you don't know if your fast is broken or not. And just ask because they'll give you a clear answer, of course, okay? When it comes to vomiting, people always have a question about vomiting. Acid reflux after eating, you know, all the stuff we ate during suhoor and something comes up, okay? Will it break my fast? Listen, there's only one case where vomiting will break. Okay, is when a person intentionally vomits a mouthful. Intentionally, amdan, he decides to throw up. And then how much does he throw up? A mouthful. Okay, anything else for vomiting will not break your fast. Okay, you don't have to worry about anything else. If food comes up again, goes down again, that wasn't your choice. You're completely fine. You don't have to worry about any of those other things. Okay, vomiting is usually never an issue. I don't think till today I found an actual case where vomiting has broken a fast. Okay. That's what's written in our books, so that's clear there. What are excuses for fasting? Like certain things that are excusable. Person forgets. If you forget you're fasting, then what happens? The first couple of days are a little bit challenging, right? You end up putting something in your mouth. You're like, wait, I'm fasting, right? If you forgetfully do it, don't worry about it. The fasting won't break. What will break the fast, though, is that after a person, he forgetfully puts something in his mouth, he's like, oh, I guess my fast is broken now. And then he goes and eats something afterwards. Now your fast is actually broken. First time you were safe. Second time, bichara, you know, pagal guy, you know. So the thing about forgetfulness, and I remember one Maulana, he was telling me,
that he was fasting nafil fast, and then he forgot he was fasting the whole day. So he ate breakfast, lunch, and dinner. He came back home. He's like, "All right, I was fasting today." I said, "Subhanallah, Allah provided you the entire day. You know, Allah knows." So, but honest forgetfulness. Not, oh well, I think I was forgetful. I didn't remember. Okay, don't do that. Okay, Allah forgive us. You know. Okay, so what is stuck between the teeth is also a big issue. People always get worried about food stuck between the teeth. When it comes to food stuck between the teeth, if it's less than the size of a chickpea, meaning very, very tiny, and generally food particles are like this, you don't have to worry about it. Even if it goes down your throat, it's fine. Okay, that's what the scholars have written. That if it's so tiny, so insignificant, it just went down your throat. Don't worry about it. Okay. What are pieces which are larger than a chickpea? Are like meat pieces. And I will always tell people to be careful about the meat pieces because why? Because they're really big. And sometimes that one goes down. I'm sorry, man. I don't know what to do about your fast afterwards. Okay. So, and always, if you find something in your mouth, what's the best, safest thing to do? Just take it out of your mouth. You know, it's halal. You can do that. Just take it out, and so that way you don't have to go through this headache. Okay. Anything equal to, again, or bigger than the size of a chickpea, it will invalidate. It will break your fast. Okay. So again, anything stuck in the mouth, if it's small, really, really tiny, you don't have to worry about any of those things. Okay. Certain things which are unavoidable, things that you cannot avoid at all. For example, when you are taking a shower, there's a lot of moisture. Okay. You're inhaling the steam, right? Would that break your fast? No, you can't do anything about it, right? The steam's gonna come in whether you like it or not. Okay. Now, if you start going like, if you same thing with like smoke, right? You walk by smoke, right, and then a lot of fog or someone smoking or something, and it goes in your nose. You couldn't control that. So these are unavoidable things. Obviously, not telling you to go in there to, don't do that. Okay. Right. So don't, of course, do that. And obviously, we spoke about water which remains in the mouth after wudu. That's also excusable. Mucus, phlegm in the mouth or in the nose, anything like that would be fine. Saliva too is also fine. Okay, a saliva which ends up on the lips from talking as well, that's also fine. People, I think this one guy asked me this really gross question. He said, "Can we just like get a bunch of like spit in our mouth and just and I'm like, oh god, don't even make me think about that. It's makruh. I can't say your fast broke. I legitimately can't say your fast broke. But I'm like, that's really gross. Okay, like that's really gross. You're a very weird guy. Okay, and then bugs and flies. If a bug were to hypothetically, and this happens very much back home, right, India subcontinent, right? Something just just goes in there, like, what's wrong with this mosquito? Like, doesn't know I'm fasting, And then so if it were to go into your mouth, it wasn't your control. It's fine. It'll be fine. Okay, completely fine. What are not excuses? Again, accidents. If something accidentally happens, if you ended up breaking the fast because you're so hungry, meaning about to die, if that happens, your fast will break, okay? And you have to make up that day. It's not excusable. So I was so hungry, I couldn't do anything about it. It will break. You have to make it up, okay? If you didn't know, people say this as well. They said, oh, I didn't know this breaks fast. That's not an excuse as well, because every Muslim should know what breaks fast or not. It's not an excuse that you just say, I didn't know. Your job was to learn. You should have sat with an alim and learned this. So the deen also doesn't excuse not knowing. Sleeping, unconsciousness, insanity, all these things are also, if a person were being forced, like someone put a gun to your head, it's like, you better eat this cheeseburger. It's like, all right, okay. And then you eat the cheeseburger. The fast will break. And I would encourage you to break the fast if someone was trying to do that to you, if it's so critical. And I mentioned as a joke on our side, and we may dua for our brothers and sisters in Uyghur. May Allah give them afiyah and tawfiq. It's a terrible situation when people are forcing you to break your fast. Allah to forgive them and make it easy for them. And they're not responsible, of course, right? But they will have to make up those fasts, right? Qada is necessary. Kafara is not. What is kafara? Kafara is that big one, right? The one that you're all thinking about, like the 60 days and everything, okay? When does kafara have to happen? When does kafara happen? So basically, the kafara is when a person intentionally breaks the fast. That's what you have to think about. When someone says, I just don't want to fast, and he just breaks the fast completely. When a person does that, first thing he has to do is, it's mentioned in an order. The order is this. Number one is they have to go and try to free a slave. If they can't find any slaves, you probably won't be able to find. The second thing is what? They fast 60 days straight. They fast 60 days straight, right? Now, then the third one is that if they can't fast 60 days straight, meaning they're not well enough, they're not healthy enough to do it, then they go and feed 60 people, okay? What do people normally do? They think it's an option. It is not an option. If you're a young person, healthy person, you have to fast the 60 days, okay? And I'm not saying this as a punishment for you. I'm saying that you broke a big command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He made it so easy for us just to make sure you maintain that one day. and you decide to just say, forget it, forget Allah, forget all these things. Come on, Allah is so kind. From that one day, He'll forgive you. Okay. So now I know certain people that fasted the 60 days, and I just want to encourage everyone that if you're feeling like, oh man, that's a lot, I don't know how I can do it. Okay. I know, and trust me, if you fast Ramadan 30 days, how good do you feel at the end? Amazing. Amazing. Imagine you did double that. Like imagine that feeling of the ruhaniyat, the spirituality. I'm telling you, you'll feel like an amazing person. Those people who've maintained it, done the kafara, they feel extraordinary after the 60 days. Okay? I'm giving you encouragement here. Don't worry. It seems like it's hard. Allah will make it easy for you. If you have to do kafara, then do it. Take care of it before you pass away from this world. Allah will make it easy, of course. But kafara is only for intentionally breaking. Everything else is qada. Everything else is making up one day. Okay? So what are you generally going to deal with? Is it going to be kafara? No. What are we normally going to deal with? Just qada, just making up the fast. Okay. So if you also, by the way, break a nafil fast, if you intentionally break a nafil fast, is that kafara? The person naflan, they were just fasting and they break it, it's just qada. Okay. The only time kafara becomes necessary is with Ramadan fast. When it comes to nafil fast, if you went into like, I can't do this anymore, you just eat something, you have to make up that day because you shouldn't do that. But it's not going to cause a kafara to happen. Okay. So we already spoke about certain things about water going down the throat. We talked about vomiting intentionally. We talked about eating. If a person were to swallow a pebble from the outside or something really weird like they ate paper, this will also break the fast too. But it will only make qada happen. Okay. And we already talked about the things that are stuck between the teeth as well. When it comes to blood, the issue of blood here, when a person is bleeding from their mouth. Now the issue is always about what is the dominant thing in your mouth. Is it the fact that the blood is dominant, or is the fact that the saliva is dominant? In other words, is the color of your saliva red, or is it just normal color? If the blood, if it's red now, then we're going to consider that your fast is broken. If you swallowed it, you swallowed it. Okay. If you didn't swallow it, you're fine. But if it's just in your mouth and everything like that, you're fine. But if you swallowed it, then that's you have to check if it was actually blood or was it saliva. Okay. If it's saliva, you're okay. If it's blood, you wouldn't be okay. Right. And of course, and we already spoke about these issues here. Okay. What does not break fast? We've already spoken about these issues as well. Sweat and teardrops is another one. When it comes to sweat, if sweat enters your mouth, you don't have to spit it out. That's also an excusable substance. Okay, it came from inside you, so it's not considered. It's fine. It's completely fine for a person. Teardrops as well. If teardrops would enter the mouth, that's okay as well. Your fast wouldn't consider being broken. Drawing blood and hijama. Okay, hijama is also fine for a person to do. The Prophet used to do it while he was fasting, but it's a very difficult thing to do, admittedly so, because your body will feel very weak afterwards, right? So just keep that in mind, okay? So we spoke about this. If a person were to use oil and kuhul that you put on surma, it won't break their fast, of course. We talked about that the eyes are not a proper way to break. If you ingest smoke unintentionally, we talked about it. You just passed by smoke and this came in your mouth, completely fine. Miswak and tongue brushes. If a person really can't take the smell of the mouth, the miswak can help you. The Prophet sunnah was to use it throughout the day. If a person uses a tongue brush, have you ever seen a tongue brush? You can actually just scrape off some of the, because it's just some bacteria in the back. You scrape the tongue, it's good. Then you feel a little better. I use it also as well to help for myself, just be able to manage. Bugs and flies, water that remains in wudu, we talked about it. And now the big one here is injections. Okay, injections that do not reach the stomach or brain, they won't break your fast. Injections that do not reach the stomach and brain, they won't break your fast. Okay, so this is leading to our question about vaccines. Okay, and I want to spend a little bit of time on this, just a little bit of time, just talking about the issues about vaccines, because I find that there are a lot of miscommunication, a lot of misunderstandings out there. I'm not going to deal with the controversies, the conspiracies, and all these things. Allah will make it easy. Go to credible people that you trust. Go to Muslim people that you trust, and obviously, start to go and explore and study. Don't just think the entire world is out to get you or kill you. Okay, it's not like America and Russia are all united on trying to kill all of the people. And then the vaccines are all to like kill everyone or something like that. Having said that, I'm not here to talk about those issues. I'm going to talk about the fiqh. The fiqh meaning that is it jais to take? Which ones are jais to take? Which ones aren't jais to take? Okay, because that's the question that I can answer for you. Is it halal to take or not? Right? I remember one person went on a big rant about like this is what they're trying to do with it. This is what they're trying to do with it. I said, brother, is it sinful to take or not? Am I going to get sin if I take the vaccine or not? That's what I'm worried about. Because I'm worried about the day of judgment. You're worried about Bill Gates putting some nano whatever in my blood or whatever. I'm worried about in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, will I have to be answerable for this or not? Right? That's the question that Muslims should be concerned about. So will you have to be answerable for it if you take Pfizer, if you take Moderna, or if you were to take the Johnson & Johnson? Okay. So now I want to make it clear that all of them are permissible. All of them are permissible to take. Okay, so they're beautiful. There's one Maulana in New Jersey, Maulana Mateen Khan. He's also a doctor. I also have my good beloved friend Mufti Ridwan, Dr. Ridwan. We discussed these issues, mashallah, and they went through the process of developing the vaccine. They talked about the ingredients of the vaccine, and they came up to the conclusion that all of them would be permissible for a person to take. Okay, there's a beautiful, you can look it up online. Just look up, COVID vaccine, right? Dr. Mateen Khan. He's a beautiful fatwa written, amazing fatwa, mashallah, explaining the issue. Okay, Pfizer and Moderna, because they use mRNA, right? There's no issue about stem cells or anything of like fetal cells or whatever, right? Moderna would be the one that's a little bit more like the quote unquote problematic, right? It's not saying it's haram to take. Keep that in mind. It just wouldn't be the more appropriate one, more preferable one. We're talking about all of them are jaiz. What did I tell you in the beginning? All of them are permissible. The preferable ones to take would be Pfizer and Moderna because they completely avoid the use of stem cells in the first place. Are you injecting stem cells or fetal cells into yourself? Of course not. Okay, the adenovirus or what they produce, right? It is something much different, and I want you all to read it. Okay, like this fatwa is very well done. He says that which is produced and what they inject into you is different from stem cells entirely because they put it so far away from the process. The only reason why scholars are telling you to probably not use it or to avoid it is because of the fact that it has a connection with fetal cells in the first place, aborted fetuses, and we don't want to be near that. But having said that, they're all jaiz to take. If a person took a Johnson & Johnson shot, I wouldn't, why would you say that they did something haram? They didn't do anything haram. Okay, the preferable one again is Pfizer or Moderna, of course. Okay, so and there's a beautiful discussion about it. If a person is really into it, I encourage everyone to do it. People have this question about, oh, they weren't testing well enough or properly enough. Listen, there have been vaccines throughout. Muslims are the ones who discovered vaccines in the first place. Okay, people forget that. Lady Montagu, she comes into the Turkish Ottoman lands and she sees the fact that all the women, she goes into the bathhouses and sees all the women have completely good skin. They have no issues of smallpox or any of this. And they said that, how's the fact that none of you guys have any issues on your skin? He said that we just take our children and we put a little dab on them of the virus in the beginning, and because of that they get used to it, and then when they grow up they don't have any issues anymore. This is way back when, in the Ottoman times. So Muslims are always at the forefront of this. When measles, the vaccine for measles came out, the scholars wrote a fatwa on it. When polio came out, they wrote a fatwa on it. Chickenpox, smallpox, whatever vaccines came out, Muslims have always written fatwas on this. Okay, you're gonna find that the phase 3, because people say that the vaccine wasn't tested well enough, right? If you're looking at measles, the amount of people that were tested were 10,000. The phase 3, 10,000. Polio, 10,000. For smallpox, 10,000. How many people were tested for the COVID-19 vaccines? Over 50,000. Okay, it's a huge amount of people. Okay, in terms of the effectiveness and efficacy, people say that it was rushed, and there are a lot of, again, our scholars spend a lot of time. I'm just not sitting at home like doing whatever, right? Like we sit a lot of time spent on thinking about these things. Sheikh Nuh has a wonderful discussion about why the vaccine has been produced so quickly. They've been researching COVID viruses for decades, right? It's been a lot of research, and then finally it culminated in this. You should actually be grateful to the fact that medicine has evolved or developed to such a degree that they can make a vaccine so quickly. That's what's being shown here. So that's the idea here. If you're thinking all these other things, take them out of your minds. That's not what's happening here. And again, the issue about the fiqh is what? Is jaiz for a person to take. You can't tell a Muslim that's haram to take. Okay, don't tell people that. All of them are fine to take. If another one comes out, we'll do the same exact thing. We'll discuss it, if it's jaiz or not jaiz to do, and we'll discuss the same exact things, inshallah. Okay. We have a couple more minutes, inshallah. I'm just going to go over the discussion about iftar, and then we'll do 2 things about tarawih, and we'll finish, inshallah. Okay. Just real quick, does anyone have any questions here about the vaccine? Or do you want to hold it? Is it jaiz to do? Can you take an injection while fasting? Vaccine is an injection, right? Can you take it? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. 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 If it doesn't reach the stomach or the brain? Yeah. Yeah. So the injection is fine. It goes in the arm. Okay. Yeah. But here's the thing. So yeah, now let's talk about like practically speaking, right? Practically this, you're going to need like a Tylenol or a Motrin, especially if you take the Moderna one. I'm telling you from experience. Okay. So what I would do is, if you schedule it, just make sure during iftar you have something ready for yourself, because I don't want you in Tarawih be like, oh, this Maulana is already taking so long and we're dying right now. Like, you might feel a little sick. Okay. The second dose, yeah. Yeah. Allah make it easy. Try to still come for Tarawih if you can. Like, Allah make it easy for you. Inshallah. Yeah. So that's just practically speaking. So it's recommended to, when you break your fast, as soon as the time enters. Again, we usually just wait. Alhamdulillah, the ICB calendar is always 3 minutes ahead anyways. So you're always on the safe side whenever you go with our calendar. That's why it's designed like that, so you'll be fine. If you take the 1 minute, again, I told you the issue about we don't see the sunset. So I always tell people just cautiously, just take 1 minute. What's the problem? It's not going to kill you. Just waiting 1 minute, and then you can break the fast as soon as the time enters. After that, break with dates. If you don't have dates, then with water, inshallah ta'ala. It's sunnah to do so. There are many du'as for iftar. I think today I actually sent out a list of du'as. I encourage everyone, inshallah ta'ala, I'll send it again with everyone. Just make a list of reading them. Okay. People generally read the dua before eating. Okay. It seems from the hadith, the way the Prophet worded it, it seems like you actually have to say the dua after you put something in your mouth. What are we talking about? The scholars have said, the Prophet said the thirst has gone, the veins are moist, and the reward is assured, inshallah. So this would mean that you actually put something in your mouth, and then you read the dua. Generally, people read it before. I'm telling you, it's encouraged to read it afterwards. Okay, it's not gonna. Oh, I thought he was facing his hand. It's not gonna hurt your fast at all. You'll be completely fine. There are many, many du'as, and whatever du'as you learn, just use all of them. And of course, the time of iftar or the time of making du'a, don't just look at the food like, wow, this looks really good. What do I start with? Raise your hands, ask Allah. Okay. So, mashallah, there are a lot of things. Again, when it comes to fasting, just be your best to be the nicest person that you can. Don't risk the reward of fasting at all. Don't argue with anyone. Don't debate with anyone. Don't fight with anyone. Okay. Shayateen of jinn have been locked up. Shayateen of insan are still outside. Okay. Mankind is still there, and they're going to bother you. Your job is that, I'm going to be the nicest person today, and I make dua that Allah make my character like this the entire year. Okay. As for Taraweeh, okay, the last thing we talk about Taraweeh, and I just mentioned this again. I know, alhamdulillah, everyone here is already comfortable with the issues about Taraweeh. We've done this for multiple times, and mashallah, it's a sunnah mu'akkada. Again, you can pray in the Jamaat in the masjid. If you like to pray, again, lead your family at home. You're also welcome to do so, inshallah. If you want your child, your son, if he's old enough to lead you in the prayer, alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen, you can do that. These things are good. It encourages the family to pray Taraweeh. Okay. Now, in between the Taraweehs, people always have this question: what do I do between the 4 rakats? Okay. I told you guys, traditionally speaking, how long was that break supposed to be? That we do what? Like 20 seconds, right? I literally counted in my head. I'm like 20 salawat salams. I just count like 20 tasbihs and then I get up, right? But traditionally speaking, the way that Muslims used to do it was, as long as the 4 rakats were that you just prayed, that's how long the break would be. Imagine you tell Mullah Osman that. So, the point of like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you take a break. You have some chai. Obviously, it would be very long for people. That's why they don't do it. But it is the better way of doing it, because then you come back like, all right, I'm ready to go. Another 4, I'll definitely do this, So we. Really fast. I remember with Hazrat Numan Sahib and our ulama in Sharia board, they used to do this. They used to pray a certain amount and then they would take a break. It would be so nice. They would chai in the back, coffee in the back, have some biscuits, relax, and then get up again and all this stuff, But of course, Allah Ta'ala give us that reality one day. But we go with what we have now, right? It's completely fine. Okay. Yeah. So it is. So of course, the word Taraweeh is in the Jama', is in the plural. Because generally people have this question about, is it 8 rakats or 20 rakats? And I mentioned this over and over again, and it becomes so tiresome to mention it. But just the simple argument is this: the singular word for Taraweeh is a plural word. Okay, the word is Tarweeha. Tarweeha means rest. Okay, Tarweeha means rest. Okay, so plurals. So Tarweeha means to take one rest. 2 tarweehas, 2, 3 tarweehas, right? You say 1 tarweeha, 2 tarweeha, 3 taraweeh. Okay. In Arabic, plurals are not from 2 and up. Plurals are from 3 and up. Okay. The word taraweeh says to take 3 breaks. Are there 3 breaks in 8 rakats? How many breaks do you take in 8 rakats? 2. The word taraweeh will be broken then. The word itself means to take 3 breaks, at least. At least. And the fact that people are doing tarweeh, only taking 2 breaks, you haven't even done tarawih then. Okay. This is just from the word. In terms of the argument and things like that, obviously, like there is so much more behind it. Okay. And so I want to make it clear, mashallah, about this issue of the tarawih, is that remember this, that the Nabi alayhi salatu salam, in his time, there was something the Prophet did. We don't know exactly how many rakats the Prophet prayed. Okay. In terms of what the Prophet did. What do we have? We have Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, who himself, he only had 2 taraweehs because he passed away. 2 years after the Prophet ﷺ. Then you have Umar radiallahu anhu who comes, who has a very long khilafat, right? About 10 years or so, very long time, mashallah. And so within that time, Umar radiallahu anhu sees that everyone's praying Taraweeh by themselves. He said, it doesn't look good in the masjid, right? So he said, everyone just come behind one imam, okay? Now what did Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu do? He made Ubay ibn Ka'b lead them. He led them in 20 rakats of Taraweeh, okay? And this is not just the case of the Prophet, it's not the case of just Umar radiallahu anhu. What else do we have? We have Sayyidina, just one second, let's bring it out here. Imam Malik rahimahullah ta'ala said that they prayed 23 rakats in the time of Umar radiallahu anhu, okay? Thereafter we find that Uthman radiallahu anhu and Ali radiallahu anhu have also made 20 rakats as well. We find Ali radiallahu anhu called for the Quran reciters in Ramadan and commanded one of them to lead 20 rakats. And Ali radiallahu anhu would offer the witr with them afterwards, okay? So we have Umar, we have Uthman, we have Ali radiallahu anhu, all the great Khulafa Rashidin in Medina and in Kufa when Ali radiallahu anhu moved there, they're all praying 20 rakats Taraweeh, okay? And so we find this as well, that عن علي رضي الله عنه دعا القراء في رمضان فأمر بهم رجلا يصلي بالناس 20 ركعة قال وكان علي رضي الله عنه يوتر بهم, okay? It's mentioned by Imam Bayhaqi rahimahullah ta'ala, right? So the Ummah followed suit. Abu Hanifa radiallahu anhu, he had his great student Imam Abu Yusuf rahimahullah. Imam Abu Yusuf rahimahullah asked Abu Hanifa radiallahu anhu, said that, did Umar have any reason for praying 20 rakats of Taraweeh? Then Imam Abu Hanifa responded in a beautiful way. He said, you think Umar radiallahu anhu made it up by himself? Certainly he had some proof for him with this, okay? So the people that pray 8 rakats, and I only mention this in terms of people saying that, oh, there's no sunnah in it. I said, you are accusing Umar radiallahu anhu of a very big thing. And it's a very dangerous thing to talk about Sahaba radiallahu anhu like this. Yes, Allah for tawfiq and protection from this, okay? So Imam Tirmidhi rahimahullah summarized it. He says, Umar, Ali, and other companions, Sufyan al-Thawri, great scholar, Ibn Mubarak, Imam Shafi'i, they all believed in 20 rakats of Taraweeh. Imam Shafi'i, he said he's seen the people in Makkah praying 20 rakats of Taraweeh, okay? You know, we have so many dalil about this issue, and of course, I'm always welcome to share this with everyone. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, the great scholar of his time, he also said that you should pray 20 rakats and 3 rakats with there as well. So we're looking at across the board, everyone agrees on this issue. Now, if a person is tired and exhausted, you know, and a person needs to go home and things like that, these are different things. Don't tell people that, oh no, this is the right thing to do. It is not the right thing to do. The right thing to do is what? Do the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ and do it. Okay, people say, oh, I don't feel focused and I don't feel relaxed. I said, yeah, Allah, imagine that. Imagine all of deen. Oh, I don't really feel like praying Zuhr today. You know, I don't feel like it anymore. Are you just going to leave all the ibadat because you don't feel like it? If the Prophet ﷺ does something, you do it. Okay, even if I don't feel it. This is what ibadah means. Allah, I worship you whether I like it or not. I worship you. If the Prophet ﷺ told me to do it, I do it. So that's what we need to understand here. Okay, this is discussing with sunnah. A person could pray less if they needed to. So may Allah give us all tawfiq. This is a brief breakdown of the different issues of Ramadan. If there are any questions, inshallah, we can take them, inshallah. May Allah give us tawfiq and understanding. Do you have any questions here? Yes. In terms of when is the best time to stop eating? Yeah, the best time is when you see the calendar, it says this number, right? Let's say like 3:55. Okay. I would say the best time would be maybe 3:53, 3:54. You can stop at that time. Oh, okay. So our calendars in Burlington are always 18 degree. So you're fine with taking this calendar. So you don't have to worry about the 15 minutes or 18 or any of those minutes, inshallah. Just 5 minutes before is very good. It's very safe. And I would pray like 2 rakats tahajjud while you wait, inshallah. Yes, you should. If you want to brush your teeth, you can always, of course, do up to the last minute, of course, like we talked about, but it's risky, right? But you can do it before the 5 minutes, completely fine. Inshallah. Very good question. How many rakats of Taraweeh is prayed at ICB? We always pray 20 rakats of Taraweeh, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. It's always been maintained, mashallah. That's a very good question. Okay, yes? Okay, sure. Yes.
Vitamins or kind of, in the injectable forms, directly into the arm,
yeah. So those same things about any vitamins or any intravenous, right? Injections that give you some type of nutrients, right? Those types of things, again, our scholars in our madhab are very clear that it's jais for a person to take. No issue with that, right? The only one is that when a person takes an insulin shot, it actually goes in there to the digestive tract. That's why you can't take the insulin shot during the day. But intravenous things in the arm, because it doesn't reach the stomach or the brain directly, they wouldn't say it breaks. Having said that, scholars have said, there are certain scholars of contemporary times saying that it's better for a person to avoid it because you're just getting sustained anyways, right? You're getting nutrients anyways. So the person is better for a person to avoid. But again, it's not going to break. We wouldn't say it breaks the fast. It's a very good question. Does anyone have any other questions? Here.
The sunnah, we take dates at the sahur. So what's the quantity of the dates? Like, is there any, with the sunnah, it is proven like 3, 5, 7 dates?
So that's a very good question too. How many dates should a person eat at suhoor time? For sahri time, yeah, the sunnah number, again, we don't have any fixed number of how many the Prophet ﷺ ate. But if you eat odd, you're fine. I usually only eat 1 date. I feel like it's so filling. You have a question, Ibrahim?
Yeah, so can you fast before you hit puberty or?
Yes, you should. Very good question. Can you fast before you hit the age of puberty? You definitely should. It's a good thing and you'll feel much better, trust me. And alhamdulillah, that's good. Yeah. I wasn't as lucky, trust me. Yeah, alhamdulillah. That's good. That's a good question. Will we be punished if we miss Tarawih? That's a very good question. So the question is about Sunnah Mu'akkadas. Sunnah Mu'akkada means an emphasized Sunnah, something the Prophet ﷺ did regularly. We know the Prophet ﷺ, when he prayed Tarawih, he always prayed Tarawih. When he prayed the Sunnahs on the day, that's also something that's regular, right? So now here's the question, right? Can a person just regularly miss a Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ? If the Prophet ﷺ did something, are you allowed to just miss it? So if it happens once or twice by accident, by mistake, something happened in the day, that's negligible. If you're regularly missing Tarawih, or you're regularly missing prayers, that's when we'll say a person's sinful. The Prophet said, whoever turns away from my sunnah is not from me. Allahu Akbar. So imagine Tarawih, where you're like, oh, I don't want to do it. Okay, again, you have a lot of options. I told you, if you do even want to come here because the 15-minute Tarawih is just too much for you, go home and inshallah pray with your family. You have to have that motivation, inshallah ta'ala. So keep that in mind, inshallah. Any other questions? Give you 1-2 more minutes. Okay. So I will send it through the email. Okay.
Getting ready for the Friday prayer, like trimming the beard, getting the haircut, trimming the nose, hair, stuff like that. So some people like they feel like not should do it or.
Oh no. So a fasting person should take care of themselves, right? They shouldn't look disheveled, right? The idea of like not oiling or not trimming and stuff, and keep up all your routines. Again, it's from the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet himself used to do that. Sayyidina Isa ﷺ told his Sahaba. Isa ﷺ told his Sahaba. He said, when you're fasting, make sure to oil, make sure to perfume, make sure no one even knows that you're fasting, right? That's how you conceal it only for Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. So I always tell people to maintain. And Jummah, we gotta make sure we trim up, look good in the hood, Alhamdulillah. Don't know which sisters are there, Mashallah. Okay, good. Miswak. Same thing about miswak. A person can use miswak. It's permissible again throughout the day to use it. If some bristles were to come in your teeth, I forgot to mention this. If bristle were to come, scholars have written that it's one of those things that you can't really control. So if it were to come in your mouth and it went down your throat, your fasting wouldn't break. You should be fine, inshallah. But I always tell people to avoid it. Yes, Ibrahim?
Can you use devices?
Should you use devices when you're fasting? I'm asking you. Probably not. Generally, brothers, they do like a 40-day fast from their devices too. They just log off of WhatsApp and Twitter and everything because you want to stay focused. Social media just distracts you and you get depressed. Wallahi, I don't mind any old social media apps because I get so depressed. I won't lie. Like this stuff is just so sad about how many people hate each other and yell at each other and complain at each other. The only one I use is WhatsApp because I know people have questions. It's the only one I use. And even that I can't shut off in Ramadan because if I do, people are like, where did he go? Did he make me a Raj? Where is he now? So you try to avoid as many things as you can. Okay. Very good. Yes?
I go to sleep before start.
Go to sleep before Islam.
I wake up before before Fajr, like 2 or 3 minutes. So I wake up like I have to fast another day.
Oh, subhanallah.
So I break my fast with water, take the intention, and I
Oh, Allah make it easy. Yeah. If that ever happens, if a person were to sleep before iftar and then wake up and then it's right before it's suhoor time, what's gonna happen is you're gonna have to break your fast right away and just start the next one. Yes.
Like 48 hours, that's no problem.
Yeah, it's not a problem if you can manage it. If you feel like if you woke up after Fajr time, you literally just fell asleep and you missed Isha and Tarawih, everything, you woke up at Fajr time, then obviously you have to continue the next fast for the next day. Yeah. The yesterday fasting, you didn't break it, but we consider it broken because Maghrib time came in. So technically you're done. Okay, so don't worry about it. Yeah, so both of them will be valid if you can manage it. Please, if that happens, you call me, okay? You know, like yeah, okay, so yeah, it's Allah make it easy. Allah make it easy. Yes, Wajib?
So you spoke about intake of Ramadan or so what if someone did the miswak, they washed it properly with the proper intention and all that, but next day once they use it,
Yeah.
they still feel the taste of some food
Oh, okay.
particle or something. So
The question about the leftover flavor in the mouth from like food in the morning and things like that. Again, those are things without your control. You can't really do anything about that. So those things are also excusable. Don't worry about it. We're talking about putting things in your mouth afterwards. Now the miswak also has a flavor. The miswak again, it's excusable because the Prophet ﷺ himself used it. So if the Prophet ﷺ uses it, then of course whatever he does is a shariat anyways. That's what we take deen from. That's a very good question. Again, these things are extra. Maybe you eat something really nice so the flavor stays the entire day. Yes.
No, something is coming here, you have like cough.
Coughing, yeah.
So it is coming intermittently here in my throat. So
Yes.
it is not coming out and it's still there. So I have to do anything to make it down. Because it's here, it's very difficult to throw it out or get it inside.
Yeah, something uncomfortable left in the throat. Again, if it's there.
It is, when you try to cut something like saliva, yellow saliva.
Yeah. Phlegm, mucus, balgham. Balgham, yeah, in Arabic. So if that's there, again, if it swallows again, it won't break the fast. It's better, of course, to spit it out because this is better for you. But I know you can't, right? It's in the middle, yeah. So if it goes down, you'll be fine. No issue with that. Inshallah. Inshallah. Okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all tawfiq. I'll send it out in the email with the ICB group, inshallah. That way you guys can have all these things, inshallah. And please, I'm at your service. Make dua for me. Allah ta'ala give you guys all the best Ramadan. And inshallah, Allah ta'ala accept us and bring us on the day of judgment with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah to drink from his Hawd al-Kawthar and put us in Jannah fit those Habib Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.